Hey, what's up? It's NYC Food and welcome to my channel where we take you on a culinary tour to the great city of New York. Hole in the wall, the Michelin stars. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm doing something very different. I'm going to introduce you to this amazing group of people who came together using the culinary skills in Brooklyn. These trained chefs and home cooks and bakers and jammers and ice cream makers have come together not only to support each other during the pandemic, but to give back to the community. From free meals to teachers to charitable organizations, these people are doing some amazing stuff. And their food, oh my God, is amazing. You have to try it. This is like restaurant quality meals they're giving up from their stoops. From Park Slope to Gravesend, from Dyke Heights to Kensington. These are the makers of Brooklyn.
So the Makers of Brooklyn is a really phenomenal group of local makers, bakers, artists, producers, and it all kind of started, I guess, if we back up, I first did my first swap when I found out about Miriam, who was giving away pizza. I went to drop off ice cream for a complete stranger in Park Slope, and she said to me, "Did you know that there's a woman across the street doing the same thing? She's giving away pizza." I said, "No way." So I immediately reached out to Miriam. I said, "How about we swap pizza for ice cream?" And it sort of took off from there. And it was Kayla, who the urban baker who makes macarons, who really organized us.
Mona reached out to me on Instagram and asked if I wanted to swap, and I was like, "What? This is brilliant. Yes, of course I want to swap." So we set up a time to swap ice cream for macarons. And then I just continued to more or less stalk her Instagram page to see who she was going to be swapping with next. And then I would follow and reach out to that person and ask if they wanted to swap. And then Mona and I just kept in contact. And once we realized we had kind of a big group, I created the Instagram group that we have where we're sharing information and asking for business help and supporting each other's business journeys.
Fulfilling part of my journey so far is making a difference for people right now when we're in a time where everyone's struggling in one way or another.
People send me pictures of their families enjoying my bread on their dinner table. This past Thanksgiving, I got to see countless people have my bread on their dinner table during Thanksgiving, and that just completely warmed my soul.
I actually started Mental Health Mondays on my page, which is every Monday I talk about a different topic in the mental health realm. And
I think just being able to create and making people happy, because obviously cakes and cupcakes are usually celebratory. So just giving people a little bit of happiness in this kind of unsettling time.
When I started this, I felt more a part of the community than ever. And that means so many different things. That means, one, seeing people, right? Like, we've all been locked up in our houses, and even that, like, just human connection for 5 minutes of giving someone some food. But we're giving back to the community, which, you know, for us is just so fulfilling. You know,
mostly the best thing about it is that I'm realizing that I can do something on my own, like as a woman entrepreneur. I went to school for education, and then I went to pastry school, and I never learned anything about business. And I'm not only learning so much, but I'm mostly teaching myself. There's not a ton of help out there, and it's really, really, really empowering to figure out that I can do this on my own. And that there are people to help, but that I'm capable of learning and growing.
That's great.
We love to share fun ideas with each other, and when you have a friend on your side and a great support system, it makes the journey much more fun.
so I first met Kayla, who kind of started the Makers of Brooklyn, and she started using my jams in her macarons, which really kind of got me a lot of business, and her encouragement in the business and introducing these people around. And it's been a really fun journey. It's gotten, I've gained a lot of new friendships from it, and it's just been really fun to have an outlet of people that are supportive of you and your business and willing to use your products and willing to get your products out there to other people.
Being able to share more this food with people in this area, you know, that's really exciting for me. Just
Christina Tosi. If you don't know who she is a female powerhouse pastry chef who created Milk Bar. And she is like my idol and who I aspire to be. My most popular one is probably my caramel macchiato or anything with dark chocolate ganache.
Does that report? Originally I was just kind of, talking about pizza, and then it became this thing where I started baking pizza. With the pandemic, I lost all of my pizza jobs after changing careers from being a creative director to becoming a full-time pizziola and also working in corporate events with Scott's Pizza Tours. I started baking pizzas for people in my building for free, and word got out, and now it's become this thing where I've got people driving in from different states to enjoy my pizza. It's all small batch, hand-mixed pizza, so I do a limited number per night, and I offer both round pies that are baked in a Breville oven and then Sicilian pizzas that are baked on a baking steel. So right now my round pies are about a week wait. The Sicilian pizzas on average are about a month wait. So it is truly something special when you get to experience the pizza world. I got into the culinary world when I was born on May 19th, 1980.
You're May 19th?
Huh? May 19th.
I'm May 19th too.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing!
No way.
Do you know how long I've gone through my life just waiting to meet people who've been born on May 19th? My parents were eating pizza while I was born. It wasn't until about 9 years ago when I met Scott Wiener, and I was a freelance art director. I took on the paid hobby of being a pizza tour guide in New York City, that I realized that I had a passion for pizza. I met Scott Wiener about 9 years ago doing the New York City pizza run. I won this race where you run a loop around Tompkins Square Park, eat a slice, run a loop, eat a slice, run a loop, eat a slice. Done. The first year I won, they gave tickets to Scott's Pizza Tours, but they didn't give it to the female winner. So I came back the following year, won the tickets, and then launched this entire career of giving professional tours in New York City and teaching people a complete education history of pizza from Europe all the way over to North America. My regular Sicilian is my favorite. The Michael Jordan pie is another Sicilian that's become incredibly popular. Right now there's about a month wait to get both of those pies. My goal is I have two different goals in one idea. I want to open up a walk-up window for small batch, limited number Sicilian and round pies, but I also want to open up a business that establishes a foundation where we can continue to pay it forward, not just with pizza, but with meals in general, and fundraising funds so that that money can be dispersed back into different small businesses and restaurants that are struggling, so that the food that they donate to food banks can be paid for, and that money goes back into their restaurant to help them survive in a time like this. Encourage people to do good and be good. That's what my mom would have done. She's a huge inspiration in all that I do. Every pizza box has a for mom in it, and the reason why is my mom was my biggest fan of pizza, but she was one of the people who actually contracted COVID and passed away in August. So I never got to have her try my pizza, but I always say that like each pie is it's like a beat of her heart. So a lot of all of this that I'm doing is to sort of honor my mom's memory, and it's what she would have done in a time of need. She's the kind of person who would drive around before Rosh Hashanah and give out 200 bottles of honey to ensure that everyone had a sweet new year. So in a way, I guess I'm walking in the footsteps of my mother by giving out pizza to help people that are in need.
So I actually, when I first moved to New York City, I was in the hospitality industry, and when I decided to kind of switch and shift my career, I decided to pursue a career in corporate America, where I had to take a heavy decrease in pay. So I had a lot less money and a lot more time on my hands. Okay. So I decided I wanted to learn something new. Jenna Fisher, she kind of inspired me on her Instagram because she was learning how to make sourdough bread and bread in general. And I thought, well, I have a lot of time on my hands, so that's kind of the hobby I decided to pick up. And once I started making bread, there was no turning back. It was just such a passion of mine, and I got totally sucked in. Growing up, my grandmother, she was really into baking. I would go to her house after school, and we would always bake together. And she kind of taught me the fundamentals
of baking, how to measure, how to read recipes, and kind of how to like adapt recipes. So she was definitely the one who originally taught me how to bake. When it came to baking bread, I picked up a book by Bonnie O'Hara called Bread Baking for Beginners, and I kind of just taught myself from her book.
Breads you made so far?
How many breads? Oh my gosh. So it used to be 2 loaves a week when I was working in the office, and now I make probably 12 to 16 loaves a week now, so a lot of bread. I usually like to stick to like traditional sourdough. Like a really popular loaf that I make is a jalapeno cheddar, but really builds off of my traditional sourdough recipe. Outside of sourdough, I do pretzels, I do hamburger buns, hot dog buns, chocolate babka, challah, brioche, kind of anything out there that is either sourdough or requires commercialized yeast. I think the most fulfilling part is that it requires a lot of patience, and patience is definitely something that I've struggled with growing up. So when you make bread, it requires a lot of patience and a lot of time. So definitely being able to kind of master that quality and being able to like see myself grow while I do it. That's such an interesting question. In college, I wanted to open up my own little bakery and coffee shop. Obviously that dream got put on hold. So now that I started baking and started selling out of my home, I'm definitely kind of starting to see that dream open up a little bit more. So maybe some sort of bakery in the future, maybe just expanding on social media and being able to teach other people how to make bread and be able to develop my own recipes and eventually a cookbook. That would be great, but I'm really enjoying the journey that I'm on. For sure, I definitely think the pandemic is a really hard thing for a lot of people, but I also think it's also a really good time. We're all stuck at home, so I definitely think it's a really good time to work on something that you've always thought, like wished you could do, whether it is to learn how to make bread or to become a cake decorator or anything. It doesn't even have to be baking related, but I think it's a really good time to kind of like focus on you and do something that you never thought you'd have the time to do. And I think while doing that, you in turn, you make yourself a better person, you get to network and meet totally new people, even if it is just virtual. So I think picking up a hobby and really mastering something is a great opportunity to work on yourself and just bring something new.
Yeah, so we started Butch now in October. It's been kind of a dream of ours for a while now. For mine, you know, I literally have a day job in corporate America, and when we could travel, I used to do a ton of travel. And I would sit in the back of town cars, like on the way from our office in Midtown out to JFK in the airport, and I would like earnestly brainstorm different kinds of sandwiches, what the name of our sandwich place would be. Like all of my like creative energy was into thinking about what the sandwich shop would look like if I could ever open it. And thought was like, get the kids squared away, get the investment squared away, and then open, you know, 10, 15 years from now. But pandemic sort of changed everything, right? And all of a sudden, we had a little extra time. The community definitely needed some more food in the neighborhood, some help out, and it gave us a chance to sort of flex the muscle and try it in a different business model than we would have had to in a non-pandemic world. So here we are. You know, it sort of started a little bit as a lark. You know, we thought we'd be just feeding friends, generous friends who are happy to order from us. And, you know, we sort of said, we'll keep doing this until it's not fun anymore or we start losing a lot of money. And neither of those things have happened. So we're just going to continue to grow. So I trained at the Institute of Culinary Education way back in 2005, worked in some kitchens back in the day, and also private chef for a while for actually a family of doctors right here in Park Slope. But then left, you know, the culinary world, went into the corporate world for a long time, and you know, cooking has always been a passion of mine. Sandwiches, definitely a passion of mine. Anything between two slices of bread, I'm here for. And you know, that's so we came back around to being in my own kitchen versus someone else's, which is, you know, definitely a nice change of pace. A bit of everyone. You know, I sort of joke that, you know, way back when I was in college, 20 some odd years ago, you know, the early Food Network chefs, right? So the Bobby Flays of the world, the Emeralds of the world, you know, sort of probably jump-started me. And then today it's the women in the kitchen that are just doing amazing things that I just genuinely really love. Anita Lowe is a big inspiration. Padma, what she does and how she sort of is all about feeding, not only for nourishment but also for like soul nourishment. So this is tough. I love all of my sandwiches equally, I'm not gonna lie. But if you don't tell the other sandwiches, my day after Thanksgiving sandwich is probably my favorite, with the Reuben a close second. So if I didn't have a gluten allergy, right, we're gonna leave that off the table, assume that I can eat anywhere. DeFonte's, by far and away, the original DeFonte's over in Red Hook, not the one, in Gramercy. By far and away, what they do with fried eggplant and roast beef and some fresh butts, you cannot match that anywhere. The only part of the journey, I think it's like it's changed, and I think it grows every week. But for me, we're giving back to the community, which, for us is just so fulfilling. We're giving teachers meals for free. We basically will swap for anything. We swap for sandwiches, we swap for ice cream, we swap for jam, we'll swap for bread, we'll swap for like really anything, like nourishing the community in whatever way that may be, whether it be a smile, a thank you, a swap if someone needs it, swapping last week with the guys at Hoot Nanny to play a song for our kids, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that gives us nourishment. And so that for us is really the most fulfilling, and getting to give people tasty food is just an added bonus, truthfully.
Hey Mona, do you scream for ice cream?
I always scream for ice cream.
All right.
It was all an accident, as I'm sure all great ideas come from accidents. I was gifted a KitchenAid ice cream attachment about 3 or 4 years ago and have been making ice cream for friends and family ever since. And then when the pandemic hit, I found myself with a little bit of extra time, and my freezer was filling up really fast, faster than I could consume the ice cream. So I decided to very safely drive around Brooklyn and drop off pints of ice cream for friends, family, neighbors, no contact, and there was no traffic, so I made my way around Brooklyn with ease. And all of a sudden, people started messaging me on Instagram. They had seen these random ice cream drop-offs. I was calling them ding dong ditch ice cream because there really was no human interaction, and they were requesting ice cream. So next thing I knew, I was dropping off ice cream for complete total strangers. I guess I feel that I want to make ice cream that I can't just buy in a store. So sure, every so often I'll make a cookies and cream or a mint chip, but I'll always want to put that little extra twist on it that you won't necessarily find at your local grocery store or even at a local ice cream shop. So that's how most of my flavors really come to be. They also are inspired by my community, people around me. Just today, I had somebody on Instagram reach out and suggest that I make ice cream with one of those 7-layer magic bar treats. And so it's really a community effort.
So it started in the pandemic. I got laid off as a fashion designer, and obviously it's a very creative job. I got to be hands-on, create and design things, and I've always been into food, so I just kind of merged the two, my passion for food, and I get to design the cakes and cupcakes, which is my favorite part of the decorating. I made cupcakes for a friend in August for her birthday.
Okay.
And then she asked me a couple days later to make them for her sister for her birthday. And at first I was like, I don't know. I've never really done this. So she just like kind of pushed me into it, and I did it, and it was really fun. So then I just started cooking for her and her family, or baking for them. And then I just started on social media, on Instagram. I don't have a website or anything, and just through word of mouth, and also the parents in Park Slope, people heard about me, and now I have 20 orders this month alone. So, I like anything with torched meringue. So I have a chocolate explosion cake. It's Mexican chocolate cake with chocolate buttercream, cacao nibs are on the outside, chocolate ganache drip, and then I do all these like fun organic shapes of meringue, which is essentially marshmallow fluff, and I torch it. So it's kind of got that smoky s'mores feel.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the Makers of Brooklyn. I got invited to this group by Mona over the summer, and it's just been amazing. This whole community here, I've actually made really close friends that I see a few times a week, outdoors, masked obviously. Just everyone really comes together and will help anyone.
I started baking when I was really young with my grandma. It's always been something that I like fall back on. When I was in high school, college, everything, I've always been back to baking. It's always been a part of my life. I recently finished graduate school, so since Corona has happened, this has kind of picked up a little bit. I've been like taking it seriously as a business now. Mona reached out to me. Mona makes ice cream, best ice cream I've ever had in my life. She reached out to me on Instagram and wanted to do a swap. So I swapped some Halloween cupcakes with her, and I got her, I think it was the roasted marshmallow with the Girl Scout Samoa cookies. She made this amazing flavor, and she added me to the community, and the rest is history. Officially on my menu, I think I have 4 or 5 different types of cookies.
Okay.
But I do custom treats, so if anyone has any requests, I take those and I just make whatever they like.
Sure. It's just not cookies, right? It's also cakes?
Yeah, so I do cookies, brownies, cakes, cupcakes, custom cupcakes. I love insomnia cookies. Just kind of like a guilty pleasure of mine. The Linzer tarts.
The Linzer tarts?
Definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So in the future, I mean, I finished my graduate degree in social work, so I'm definitely seeing a future in combining the two, whether it be, I actually started Mental Health Mondays on my page, which is every Monday I talk about a different topic in the mental health realm, and I just share like informative posts, open conversation about the topics with my followers, and yeah, so in the long run, I think I'd like to continue that definitely, and maybe combine the two in terms of like doing baking classes and group therapy maybe, because I know like for me in my personal life, like my relationship with food has definitely improved since I've started baking, so I could see how that could be like a benefit to a lot of people. This will actually be on my Valentine's Day menu. Can the camera see?
Yeah, lift it up. Yeah, lift it up.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna slide away. So these are on my Valentine's Day menu, and yeah.
Awesome.
She has the pleasure of trying them before anyone else does.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Kristin Pagano from Italian Wife Bakes, and I make jams. I initially started over the summer. I really enjoy baking Christmas cookies, and so I started an Instagram to do Christmas cookies, and just to make extra money at Christmas time, so I figured, oh, I'll start in the summer. And I posted a jam, and the jam everybody wanted jam, and that's kind of how I got started in making jam, going from Christmas cookies to making jam. And that's kind of where the Italian Wife Bakes came from.
Okay. Assume Italian?
My husband is Italian,
Okay.
and that kind of became a funny story between him and I. Whenever I made something Italian, I would be like, see, I am a good Italian wife. I don't know, I actually had a friend who has her own jam business in California, and she is the one who kind of inspired me to make my own jam. I was always kind of afraid of it and afraid of canning, and she walked me through it and kind of inspired me to get started and do it myself. I make all small batch jam, so one batch of jam only makes like either about 3 to 10 jars of jam. So a week I probably make maybe 25-30 jams. I'd have to go with the plum thyme, I think. That one became really popular. Just having something for myself with a 1.5-year-old during a pandemic where you don't go out at all. You spend a lot of time at home alone with your child, so this is kind of my outlet.
I was going to the farmers markets, and I decided to just start making a few products, and Tommy Jam, which is my tomato jam, a favorite of my friends. So basically a year ago now, I decided I wanted to try and do something outside of the kitchen, see if I can have a business of my own. And I started selling Tommy Jam just to friends and family, and that's how I got started. I wish that it was like after someone. One of my friends recently named their baby Tommy, and she was like, is it after my child? And I said no. I love personifying everything I do, so when I was making the tomato jam, I just wrote Tommy on the lids of the jars and it became Tommy Jam. So I am a trained pastry chef, and about 3 years ago now, I decided to take a break to try and figure out a little bit more about what makes good food. So I decided to travel around the United States and work on organic farms. And that really piqued my interest in seasonality and fresh local produce. And as a trained pastry chef, I then wanted to figure out how I can kind of incorporate local products and produce. Well, I've found different inspirations throughout my career. I think I've been really inspired recently by the farmers that I've been introduced to and have met, and now the people that I get my tomatoes from are just like the most amazing, hardworking people who are just trying to feed their communities. I'm also really inspired by other local small business owners, especially women in food. People are doing really amazing things during COVID, and it's super inspiring, and I'm happy to be a part of a lot of the communities that I've been able to join in the past couple of years.
So Ruth, do you scream for ice cream?
Absolutely. So I had just recently gotten married in India, and we went there in February. There's a Indian restaurant there called Indian Accent, and they have a location here in New York as well. Their food is phenomenal. And then after I had the Valentine's Day dinner with my husband, on our taxi ride home, I was so inspired by my meal that I came up with flavors on our taxi ride home. I wrote it down all on my phone, and the name Bharat was just, it was the first thing that hit me. I try to rotate the menu every month at least, but every week there are 5 flavors available. Ryan and Jackie, the founders of Amble Hills Creamery, Morgenstern's for sure, and strangely, probably not so strange, but Nigella Lawson for sure. Currently the Nutty that's the honey, peanut, and pecan base with salted caramel swirl with garam masala biscoff cookies. The most popular flavor is the bride. It's inspired by ras malai, a traditional Indian dessert. It's made up of chenna, which is like a milk solid. You keep forcing until it becomes like cheese and bouncy texture. It has a lot of pistachio. I go to my friends, Miss Mona, Brooklyn Pints. It's better to try everyone else's and, you know, get inspired a little. This journey has been a lot of ups and downs. I don't have a background in business, so there were a lot of learning curves. But one of the most beautiful things that came from this journey was meeting a bunch of home bakers, homemakers, pizza, like Miriam from Zamraport, and even Italian wife bakes and Kayla from the Urban Baker. I wish I could do more with the charitable organizations, but Chinatown was one of the communities in New York that was hit much early on, before the rest of New York. So when Send Chinatown Love made it their mission to help every small business that they can, I wanted to do my part because Chinatown was a huge part of my childhood, and that's all I can do. But there, during the summer we had Black Lives Matter movement, and Mona from Miss Mona Makes Ice Cream made ice cream for change. And in such a short amount of time, she was able to gather so many ice cream makers to take part of this movement and donate to any organization of their choice in support of Black Lives Matter. And I was really happy to be able to take part of that. I want to make sure that one day some kid is going to say and grow up to say that they ate raw ice cream during their childhood and it was really important to them. If I can make a kid smile and remember that raw ice cream was part of their childhood, I think I've done my job.
So what's on the menu today?
So today we are doing a braised brisket with turnip tops, sprinkling potatoes, and beef broth. Also, we are doing lamb meatballs with wheat berries and beets. A rutabaga steak, which is smoked with herb lentils. And for dessert, we have pear almond tarts from Mioline Bakery in Parksville. So it kind of started on a whim towards the end of March. Generally, most of my income comes from private events, doing private dinners or weddings, cocktail parties, at event spaces or people's homes. And March 14th was my last event, and I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do next and just kind of how to survive as a business. And my wife Brianna kind of suggested maybe emailing a couple of past clients and asking them if they'd be interested in picking up some sort of like takeout meal. So the first week was March 22nd. I ordered a case of chickens, just offered half of the chickens to see how it would go, and people were into it and they started telling their friends, and just kind of took off from there. And I'm 10 months in now, and it's pretty crazy. I didn't really think anyone would be into this, but they are, and I'm really grateful that I could kind of still cook and be creative and share the food with the community. So I went to the French Culinary Institute in 2008, New York City. But prior to that, I've been working, restaurants and doing catering since the age of 15. One chef that I really look up to is Jacques Penn. It's old school classic French chef, which is focused on quality ingredients, more technique based, good flavors, quality. I guess, my favorite dish to cook is probably my ragu sauce, which is just a meat sauce of meatballs and sausages, beef, lamb. It's a very comforting dish. Usually, anything that I do that's Italian seems to go pretty fast. If I do lasagna or a gnocchi dish, they seem to go pretty quickly. Risottos, anything that's comfort, people seem to be into it.
Hey, thanks for watching today, and please support the Makers of Brooklyn. The information is below. Please follow them on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Thank you. And as I like to say to everyone, it's all about the love. Be kind to others, remember to smile, and you never know what kind of a difference you can make in somebody's day with just a tiny, small, good gesture. And as I like to say, have a slice day.